So good evening. My name is Dawn Nguyen. I'm the Caltrans Deputy District Director for Program Project Management, or all the capital improvement in the Bay Area. Thank you for attending this first open house for our El Camino Real project, Roadway Renewal project. In this project, it is our goal to improve the safety of the roadway and the sidewalk, and to preserve and protect and retain the character of the grove as much as practical. I'd like to really thank the City of Burlingame for your partnership over the past several years to get to this point, to have this first open house for the project. I'd like to also recognize the collaborations with the town of Hillsborough, City of San Mateo, and City of Millbrae as well as many of the community members that brought us to this point. I'd like to continue as we undertake this challenge. We want to have your input. We welcome your input as we start this process development for this project. This is the first time that we are investing a significant amount of funding in this corridor. In fact, the programming document was just released on Friday night, actually. And at the CTC, California Transportation Commission meeting tomorrow, they will receive that document and consider, and we have significant investment from Caltrans for this project. So we're excited to get going on this project. We are excited for your enthusiasm, and we'll welcome and look forward to your input. So at this time, I'd like to introduce your mayor, Mayor Emily Beach.
So inspired by this turnout, thank you so much for being with us tonight. Before I say just a few brief remarks, I want to acknowledge a whole bunch of wonderful elected officials who have a very full dance card who are here tonight from the City of Burlingame and outside the City of Burlingame. So let me start. If you could hold applause to the end. I know we love everybody, but I'm going to introduce first our Vice Mayor, Ann O'Brien-Keegren. We have Councilmember Ricardo Ortiz. We have Councilmember Michael Brownrigg. We have Councilmember Donna Colson. And from the great city of Hillsborough next door, we have Mayor Sean Christensen. We have Councilmember Jay Benton. And we did have Vice Mayor Ann Schneider from the city of Millbrae join us earlier. Are there any other electeds I failed to mention tonight? So you can see this project is gaining great interest throughout our community. So thank you all. Let's give all those electeds a round of applause for being here. Also special thanks to our city, certainly Caltrans staff, but also our city manager, Lisa Goldman, and Director of Public Works, Syed Murtuza, who's worked so hard on this project too. Inspired that you're here, we're grateful that you're here, we're excited you're here. I think everybody is here because you love Burlingame, and you're probably concerned about El Camino Real. And I think it's fair to say that this community has some strong values we share some values about El Camino Real. I think we value a beautiful tree canopy. That's an iconic section of roadway. It's historic for us. It's part of our civic identity. We also value safe roadways for our motorists and safe sidewalks for the pedestrians, the people, the humans that have to walk up and down on those sidewalks as well. So that's what we're contending with here tonight. This is a very complex discussion we're having. And what I think is exciting about this process is this is just the next step in what's really been a very intensive 3-year process, highly engaged process between Caltrans, the California Department of Transportation, who actually owns that state highway. It doesn't belong to the city of Burlingame. So it's been a very collaborative effort with the California Department of Transportation, the city of Burlingame, and perhaps most importantly, a citizen-driven task force called the El Camino Real Task Force, appointed by the City Council 3 years ago to really dive deep into El Camino Real to try to understand the complexity of rehabilitating and renewing that roadway, possible solutions, and how we might find a way forward that fits with Burlingame's values. We love our trees. We don't want to look like, no offense, San Mateo or Millbrae. We love our stretch of highway, but we recognize that the status quo, and has been for quite a while, is really unacceptable. So this is the next step in a process to help engage the community and help the community understand the hard work that's been done for about the last 3 years behind the scenes to try to understand all those complexities. And that's really why we're here tonight. So there's a lot of experts in the room. There's a lot of citizens in the room that have been a part of this process, and there's a lot of community members as well, a lot of resources to help understand where we go from here. Now, if you remember nothing else about what I say tonight, I hope maybe there'll be two things that you remember. And the first is a call to action. And the call to action tonight is to seek understanding. That's such an important thing at this day and age, to peel back the onion and seek understanding. Try to learn something new tonight. Recognizing that there's many different perspectives that have walked in this room tonight. We all bring something different to the table. I know there's many citizens I've been talking with and our council's been talking with for the last many number of years that feel really optimistic and happy tonight. Something is finally going to be done, just maybe. There's other people here in this room that feel pretty darn nervous. What's going to be done? What kind of change is ahead of us? And there's a lot of other people with a healthy dose of skepticism. Every single one of those feelings are valid, and your experience is important because some of you have a lot longer memories than Mayor Beach. You maybe have experiences with Caltrans. You have experiences on that roadway, and they're all valid. But I hope you'll seek understanding tonight and really take the time to go through these stations, ask a lot of questions, and learn as much as you can. And the other thing, if you remember nothing else, the part two is understand and take away the vision of the citizen-driven task force that worked so hard to bring us here today. And that vision is that we can have both things, that we want to have a healthy, beautiful tree canopy on El Camino Real, but we also want to improve the safety of the roadway and the sidewalks. It's a yes and. But it's not going to be easy. Right? It means it's complicated, and that's what we learned over the last 3 years. It's really complicated about how we get there. And it's going to require some tough community conversations and decisions ahead of us. But that El Camino Real task force really represented all of us so well, and I'd like to just take a moment to introduce you to them so that you understand their perspectives, where they were coming from, and who they are if you have questions. So I think most of them are here tonight. We had residents who actually live on El Camino or nearby. Bobby Benson, are you here? Raise your hand. Gerard Schlesinger, right there. Michael Wiebrocht, who's right on El Camino. We had beautification commissioners. Beautification is our citizen commission appointed by the city council, whose main mission is to really protect and guard the trees in our community. And that's Richard Kirshner. Where are you, Richard? I saw you tonight. He represented beautification. We had the president of Burlingame Historical Society, a woman who needs no introduction, Ms. Jennifer Pfaff. We also had our traffic safety parking commissioners. We had Jeff Launder, I know you're here tonight, and Howard Wetton as well. In addition, we had 2 council members on that task force. Michael Brownrigg, where's my partner in crime? Michael Brownrigg, council representative on that task force, and I also served as a resource and a representative on that task force. In addition, we had our city arborist, Burlingame native, born and bred in Burlingame, Bob Disco. We had Art Muramoto, our public works staff. And then we had wonderful Caltrans staff. So we aren't just sitting in a bubble, Burlingame all by ourselves, hand in hand with Caltrans, June Kang, and many others that were technical advisors as well. So I guess I'll close here tonight to say that I hope, again, the call to action is seek understanding, learn a lot, ask hard questions. This is not the first meeting in this process, but it's a really important one, and it's not the last. As this project proceeds, there will be lots of opportunity for public input to help shape this and to participate. But this is an important one, and I think ultimately the goal is, can we create a beautiful tree-lined street with safe roadways, functional drainage, and safe sidewalks that we hand off to future generations even better than we found it? So without further ado, I think at this point what we're going to do is reconvene into all these stations, take lots of questions. City Council will be floating around, your commissioners, your task force representatives, and I think that is going to be the focus of the rest of the evening as well. And I do see 2 hands raised, and we're going to limit the questions, but I will take 2 questions. We talked about this. Sure. I'm going to hand that question over to our technical folks at Caltrans, but the big picture is the project hasn't been designed yet. This is sort of the vision stage. There's a lot of details to be hammered out. It's clear that the task force vision, the way that Burlingame buys into this project, is we can have a beautiful tree-lined street and safe roads and sidewalks. But now Caltrans has a lot of technical work to figure out where do we go from here actually on the roadway. And the task force, just the one thing I should have mentioned, is the task force studied a deep dive into one small section of El Camino Real between Sanchez Avenue and Fairfield, which is basically by McKinley School. We thought the task force suggested that was among the worst section of El Camino. It really represented all the challenges. Task force deep dove into that section, but this project is considering the entire 3-mile stretch as well. So let me hand this off to Caltrans.
Thank you for your question. So there's a board that shows the timeline, I think, toward this end here, but I will address. The project has funding set aside, or proposed funding set aside, and if everything goes well by March, the money would be basically official, March of this year, so 2 months. The schedule for the project right now is for us well, the vision is we will be in construction by the end of 2023, or finish the design toward the middle or fall of 2023, and be in construction after that. Walking backwards, we'd like to have environmental approval in 2021, and between now and then, as the mayor mentioned, there will be more opportunities to get your input for your participation, as the mayor said, to shape how we want to proceed with the project. But we, right now, we would like to have environmental approval in 2021, spend a couple of years to do the detailed design, handle all the utility relocations and all that, maybe even some right-of-way issues as well, so that we can be in construction by the end of 2023.
All right. So I think what we'll do here is continue to float around. Again, thank you so much for being a part of this conversation. Don't let your participation end here. We need you to participate in this conversation, and we thank you again for sharing part of your evening tonight. Have a great evening.